Okay, so we're actually going to skip 1 in the check. It's a repeat from our last lesson. And we're going to jump right into number 2, where I'm going to show you how we completely factor from standard form to factored form using this giant X, and our box. Okay, we will have to use both to factor. So in number 2, I'm going to start by making a giant X and thinking about what my factors are. So what's going to go on the top of my giant X? 36. What goes on the bottom of my giant X? 13. And so now I'm thinking, what 2 things multiply to be 36 but add to be 13? 9 and 4. 9 times 4 is 36. Those add to be 13. And now I'm going to add a box. Okay? And when I make my box, I'm always going to start with my x squared in the top left corner. So I'm reversing the box method. Then I'm always going to start by putting my c value in the bottom right corner. Right? And now the 9 and 4 tell me what to put here for the x terms so that I could work backwards to those 2 factors. So I'm reversing the box method. Okay, so now I'm going to ask myself, what has to go here and here? X and a plus 4. That's one of my factors. What has to go here and here? X and plus 9. And so now I have my factored form using a giant X and a box. At first. Yep. I'll give you a second to catch up, write that down. We'll do the next one together. We're going to start with 10 in the top and negative 7 in the bottom. And now I'm thinking, what 2 things multiply to be positive 10 but add to be negative 7? 2 and 5, negative 2 and negative 5, good. Negative 2 and negative 5. Because a negative times a negative gives us a positive. So now I can put my x squared term, my c value. And again, this giant X tells us what to put in for my x term. So I can completely reverse the process. We can finally write it in factored form. What questions do we have? Maybe you started C and you're trying to work on C right now. I got negative 8 in the top and negative 9 in the bottom. What 2 things multiply to give you negative 8, but add to be negative 9? What 2 things multiply to be negative 8, but add to be negative 9? Can anyone think of a factor that would multiply to be negative 8, but add to be negative 9? One and negative 8. What would that add to be? So this one, sometimes it's not factorable. I'm not, because when we come back from break, when we have standard form that's not factorable, we'll do the quadratic formula. You did that?
What is that?
Oh, that's the quadratic formula. That's what we're working on the second half of this unit.